the blood would soak through the cloth. But of course we know that the image on the shroud is strictly a surface phenomenon.
Not only that, if you tried to lay the cloth over the body and produce the image by pressing it around the body, when you straightened the cloth out, you'd end up with a greatly distorted image. And the image on the shroud is not.
Well, you seem to have scotched the two most obvious hypotheses, so what are we left with?
I've made a preliminary analysis of the shroud image, and I found that the color variation of the body image and the burn marks fall along the same color curve.
So do I gather you're saying they're caused by the same process, a scorch?
Well, I'm simply saying that within the resolution of my analytic technique, I cannot discriminate between the color variation of the body image and the burn image.
In fact, a scorch would answer a few questions for us. For instance, the objection we had to the organic pigment due to the fire would not apply in this case.
Also, the fact that it's very much of a surface effect would tend to indicate that it's probably a short time scale phenomenon, such as a burst of radiation.
What do you mean by a short time?
Small fractions of a second as opposed to seconds or minutes as you'd get with a diffusion process.
So you're talking about some momentary burst of energy?
That's correct, but not enough energy to destroy the cloth.
An intense burst of radiant energy scorching the cloth in a millisecond of time. Was this what caused the image on the shroud? And perhaps at one and the same time, the phenomenon Christians call the resurrection? It's a big question, but in so many ways, in the end, the shroud seems to raise more questions than it actually answers. Is it an accident that it has survived down the centuries, awaiting an age capable of unlocking some of the secrets concealed in its shadowy stains? In the words of one writer, only this much is certain. The Shroud of Turin is either the most awesome and instructive relic of Jesus Christ in existence, or it is one of the most ingenious, most unbelievably clever products of the human mind and hand on record. It is one or the other. There is no middle ground. Which is right? Who is he?
Robert, can you get the lights, please? This movie was made approximately 40 years ago. Approximately 40 years ago, after the 1978 scientific investigation on the shroud. It was shortly made after that, and these are the summary results of that investigation. Why did I show you such an old movie when there's been more recent ones? Because more than anything else, it tells you the history of where the image came from. How you can trace all the way back to Jerusalem by way of forensic analysis. The pollen grains that are found on the shroud, and how it shows that at some time in its history, it had to have been exposed outdoors in order for those pollen grains to be on there. So again, let's go back to our medieval forger. He had to have gotten a cloth that had been in Jerusalem, in southern Turkey, northern Turkey, and then somehow wound up in Central Europe for him to make his forger. I love the ending there, where the two army men were talking about How did this image get on there? Well, there's no paint, pigments, powders, or dyes on the shroud. Just put that to bed right now. The shroud, the image itself, resembles a burn or a scorch. It's burned on there. How? Good question. And again, back to our medieval forger, why would he choose to do that? Just paint the thing on there. Who's gonna know? It's a fake anyway, right? Why go through all of that? Burning an image. Besides, you can't see it that clearly. You know what I mean? If you're gonna make a fake that people can see, right? Oh, and there's blood on the shroud, right? Well, now we know what kind of blood is on the shroud. It's human blood. Human blood. We can identify the blood type. AB negative blood. Again, back to our medieval forger. He puts blood on the shroud. You going to use human blood? No, you're going to kill some dog or cat or something and spring, oh, it's the blood of Christ, right? How are you going to know? You're not going to know that. You're not going to care, right? Human blood on the shroud. So again, back to our medieval forger. Where is he going to get the human? Well, you wouldn't do that. The whole thing is a photographic negative. We only knew that in the early 20th century. Back to our medieval forger. Why would he create something like that? Again, you can't see, you get the idea? You get the idea? Okay, so this medieval forgery idea is just a cop-out. It's frankly a cop-out. Because you're ignoring all of this other evidence. And again, here's the biggest evidence. We can't do this nowadays. We can't create this. There's 3 videos that are on this one disc. And the others are like more modern. They're like made in the 2008 and another one in 2010. Because there have been more recent analyses of the shroud, including the carbon-14 dating that was finally done. 40 years ago, you're right, you would have needed a lot more cloth in order to get the accuracy of the dating. When the Vatican finally allowed them to take sections, they were square centimeters of the shroud that were finally taken. So that was allowed, and then they made their carbon-14 tests of it. Okay, and that's where we get the idea that it was made in the 14th or 13th century, something like that. And so, well, it's a medieval forgery. Okay, one test, and that discounts everything, right?
Nope.
That doesn't make sense to me. Again, back to is our medieval forger going to come up with all of this for us to discover now? Just to make a fake?
Has anybody tried to take each item and try to disprove each? I don't know how they would do it. I'm sold.
Well, I mean, the whole idea of why is there an image on this cloth to begin with?
Yeah.
And like I said, you make one. You make one. Go.
Right.
And in other videos, they show, like, this is the best that we can do. The best forgery theory is what's called the heated image theory. Someone built a bronze statue, heated it up, put the cloth on it, and it scorched it like an iron, like when you iron your clothes. Well, they tried that, and they pull it off, and it's this distorted thing. I mean, it doesn't look anything like the image that they put it on.
It's terrific.
And it's like, okay, if this is the best that we can do, and it's not cutting it, where did it come from? And again, this space age technology 40 years ago, you put an ordinary photograph in there and you get all this distorted light and dark shadow because the camera doesn't distinguish that. This image has all the dimensions of light and dark from it, so it produces these 3D images with, quote, space age technology. Back to our medieval forger, right? He's come up with this brilliant plan to come up with a 3D image that's burned on there, that doesn't destroy the cloth, and that can be distinguishing light and dark. It's a lot, you see, isn't it a lot easier to just believe that this is a relic of Jesus Christ produced by the resurrection than to come up with this crazy idea? You see what I mean? It's a lot, it just seems easier to believe. It just makes more sense. You know? Exactly. Yeah, but carbon 14, you always hear that. Carbon 14 dating said it was made in the 14th century, end of story. I'm done. It's a fake. Next.
Chip, where is the cloth now?
It's still in Turin, Italy.
Is it on display somewhere?
No.
They have it
No.
locked.
No, they have it locked in a reliquary, and it's only displayed once every 20 or 30 years. Yeah. Yes? Oh, wait, time to go? All right. So, I hope you will take some time and meditate on the Passion of Christ. As you can see, the Roman scourges that are on there. I mean, the crowning with all of it. It's just the reality of it begins to hit you when you meditate on these parts of the shroud. So that's why I share this.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Have a good evening, everyone. Happy Easter. Yes.
Bye, Tess.
Bye, Tess. I just love it. This medieval forger was brilliant. It's too bad we don't know who he was. You know? I'm sorry.
You know the Padre Pio handkerchief that I gave you when I went on my trip?
Yes.
That I wiped that against the glass that encased the shroud of Turin.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you. I didn't know that. Thank you. You may have told me and I forgot, but I'm glad you reminded me.
I wiped it on Lanciano, you know, the Padre Pio. I wiped it against the casing of Padre Pio, the casing of the Lanciano, you know. So it touched a lot of holy.
It's gotten very close to Jesus. Oh, that's marvelous. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, this medieval forger was some guy. You can't do it nowadays. So I love talking to skeptics about, it's just a fake. Just a fake. They're like, really? This is a pretty good fake?